Welcome back to the Deep Dive. I want to start today with a scenario that I think everyone listening has probably found themselves in.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this.
It's Friday night, you're tired, you've had a long week, you open up your delivery app, you scroll past the pizza, scroll past the burgers, and then your thumb just kind of hovers over that little pagoda icon.
Mm-hmm.
You want Chinese food.
The universal comfort button. Absolutely.
Exactly. And for most of us, and I'm, definitely including my past self in this, that button triggers a very, very specific set of sensory expectations.
Right. You know what you're going to get.
You do. You're picturing those white cardboard boxes with the little wire handles.
Yeah.
You're anticipating that sticky, sweet, bright orange glaze on General Tso's chicken.
Yeah, that crunch.
That crunch, maybe some fried rice with those little perfectly cubed carrots and peas. It's salty, it's reliable, and, it's delicious.
It is delicious. Let's be clear about that. But if we're being honest, viewing Chinese cuisine through the lens of that takeout box is, well, it's like looking at a single brick and claiming you've seen the Great Wall.
That is the analogy that kicked off all our research for this. And it's just perfect because today we aren't just talking about a genre of food like BBQ or sandwiches. We are talking about, and this is the term we kept coming back to, a civilization scale cuisine.
Civilization scale is really the only way you can frame it. Think about it this way. If I asked you to describe European food in a single sentence, could you do it?
No, not really. How could you? Are we talking about a heavy fermented German sausage with sauerkraut?
Right.
Or are we talking about a light citrusy, Sicilian seafood pasta? They're from different planets.
Exactly. Those are two completely different culinary universes, and they're shaped by completely different climates, different histories, different ingredients. Yet they're both European.
Okay, I see.
China's the exact same situation. It's a continent pretending to be a country.
That's a powerful image. A continent pretending to be a country.
You have the tropical, humid jungles of the south where bananas and lychees grow. And you've got the arid, freezing deserts of the north and west where camels roam. You have the lush river deltas in the east.
And that's just the geography.
That's just the geography. Then you layer on top of that 7, maybe 8,000 years of continuous recorded history.
One of the sources we looked at, it described Chinese cuisine as historical sediment. And I just loved that phrase.
So good.
It implies that the food isn't random, it's a geological record. Every dynasty, every trade route, every war, every migration left a layer of flavor in the bowl.
It's archaeology you can eat.
Archaeology you can eat.
Yeah. And our mission today is to dig through those layers. We want to shatter that monolithic view of the takeout box and really reveal the massive, complex, beautiful system that's underneath.
So to navigate this huge map, we've broken this deep dive down into 3 main pillars. First, we're going to look at geography as destiny, how the land literally dictates whether you are eating a bowl of noodles or a bowl of rice.
The absolute foundation.
Then we're going to map the flavors. We're going to break down the famous 8 great cuisines, which, I was surprised to learn, go way, way beyond just Cantonese and Sichuan.
Oh, way beyond. And finally, we have to talk about the philosophy. We need to get into the why. Why is texture so important? What is the deal with yin and yang in the kitchen? And how does the shape of the table actually change the social dynamic of the entire meal?
And then, at the very end, we're going to loop all the way back to that takeout box. Is it fake news? Is it inauthentic? Or is it a legitimate part of this long story?
Spoilers, it is definitely not fake. It's a story of survival, actually.
I can't wait to get to that part. But let's start at the foundation, the dirt itself. Geography is destiny.
Okay, so this is the most fundamental concept. If you take nothing else away from this entire discussion, you have to understand this one invisible line that cuts China in half.
Okay.
It's called the Kunming-Huahe line.
Kunming-Huahe. So let's visualize this. This is a geographical barrier, a mountain range.
It's a combination of a mountain range, the Kunming Mountains, and a river, the Huai River. And it runs roughly west to east, right across the middle of the country.
Yeah.
North of this line, you have the Yellow River Basin. South of this line, you have the Yangtze River Basin. And the difference between these two worlds is it's night and day. It defines everything.
All right, so let's start in the north then. If I'm a farmer in the Yellow River Valley, say 5,000 years ago, what does my world look like? What does it feel like?
It's harsh. It is dry. It is arid. The landscape is sort of a dusty brown, a Lewis plateau. The winters are brutal and freezing. The summers are dusty and hot. Historically, the rainfall is really unpredictable.
Not a great place for farming.
Not for thirsty crops. You absolutely cannot grow rice there. Rice is a diva of a crop. It's a hydrophyte. It needs standing water. It needs constant humidity, a long, warm growing season. The North just doesn't have that.
So if I can't grow rice, what am I growing? What's my staple?
Originally, it was millet. That was one of the first domesticated grains in the world. But eventually, and this is the key, it becomes wheat. And this changes everything. The North is a culture of flour.
A culture of flour, which explains the food we associate with places like Beijing or Xi'an.
Precisely. Because they rely on wheat, the entire cuisine is built around the manipulation of gluten. You get noodles, hand-pulled noodles, knife-cut noodles. You get dumplings with chewy skins. You get steamed buns, which they call mantou. You get flaky, savory pancakes and flatbreads. It's all about that satisfying, stretchy chew.
And it's not just the ingredient itself, it's the function of the food.
Yeah.
You mentioned the harsh winters. This food has a job to do.
It has a very important job to do. When the climate is actively trying to kill you for 3 months of the year, food becomes fuel. It becomes a form of protection.
Right.
Northern food is hearty, it's filling, it's dense. A northern dumpling isn't a delicate bite-sized appetizer. It has a thick skin, a dense pork and cabbage filling. It's designed to stick to your ribs and keep you warm.
It's survival food.
It is. And the flavor profile reflects that too. It reflects a historical scarcity. Before modern transport, fresh vegetables weren't really available in the winter, so what do?
You preserve, you pickle.
You pickle everything, you salt everything. You use heavy fermented bean and soy pastes.
And vinegar, I noticed. A lot of vinegar in the north.
Yes, specifically the dark, aged, malty vinegars like Shanxi vinegar. It's almost like a balsamic. It's there to cut through the grease and the heavy starch of the noodles and dumplings. So the northern flavor profile is salty, hearty, and tangy with vinegar, lots of garlic, lots of scallions. It's bold and direct.
Okay, so rule 1. Wheat equals north.
Now, let's cross that Kunling-Wahi line. We're going south. What happens?
The entire world changes color. You go from that dusty brown and yellow to just emerald green.
Wow.
The Yangtze Basin is humid, it's wet, it's subtropical, it's covered in a lacework of rivers and lakes and canals.
And this is rice country. This is the rice basket of China, and has been for thousands of years. Because of the abundance of water and the much warmer, longer growing seasons, rice thrives here. And that single fact changes the entire culinary architecture.
How so? What does the grain itself change?
Well, think about the physics of it. Wheat flour has gluten. That's the protein that makes it elastic. You can stretch it, you can make it chewy.
Right.
Rice flour has no gluten, 0.
So you can't make a chewy, hand-pulled noodle out of rice. It would just fall apart.
Exactly. Rice noodles, like the ones you get in pho or in a southern Chinese soup, the white slippery ones, they're soft. They break easily. They're delicate. So the entire texture preference in the South shifts away from that robust chew of the wheat towards something softer, silkier, more delicate.
And because the climate is so much gentler, the produce is better year-round.
So much better. You have a constant supply of fresh, leafy, green vegetables. You have bamboo shoots, water chestnuts. You have freshwater fish from the rivers and lakes. You don't need to pickle everything just to survive the winter.
So the cooking style changes.
It becomes lighter. It's about freshness. It's about showcasing the natural sweetness or the clean flavors of the ingredients themselves. You see more stir-frying, more steaming.
Okay, so broadly speaking then, if you sit down at a restaurant and the menu is just dominated by dumplings, buns, hand-pulled noodles, heavy braised meats.
You are eating the geography of the North.
And if you're seeing big bowls of fluffy steamed rice, delicate stir-fries with bright green vegetables, and steamed fish.
You are eating the geography of the South. It's the most basic, most important binary in the entire cuisine.
But there's a third player on this map that I feel like gets left out of the rice versus wheat conversation. And that's the West.
Ah, the Wild West, yes?
The sources mention that Western China, places like Xinjiang, Gansu, Qinghai, are where the map kind of bleeds into the rest of the world.
That's a great way to put it. This is the influence of the Silk Road. For centuries, really for millennia, starting from the Han Dynasty, you have this massive trade artery connecting China to Central Asia, to Persia, India, and eventually all the way to Rome.
And trade routes don't just move silk and tea.
No, they move biology, they move flavor, they move ideas.
So what specifically is coming down that road, flavor-wise, into Western China?
Think about the smell of a night market in a city like Kashgar in Xinjiang. What do you smell?
Lamb. Definitely lamb.
Roasted lamb, yeah.
Spices. Strong spices.
What kind?
Cumin. That's the one that always surprises me. I remember the first time I had Xinjiang lamb skewers. They call them chuan, right?
Chuanu, yep.
And I was so confused. I thought to myself, this tastes like Middle Eastern food.
Because it effectively is.
Yeah.
Cumin is not native to East Asia. It's not used in, say, Cantonese or Shanghai cooking.
Yeah.
It walked there on a camel from Persia.
Wow.
The entire cuisine of the West is a fusion that has been happening for 2,000 years. You see flatbreads, naan, baked in tandoor-style ovens, which are from Central Asia. You see a heavy use of dairy yogurt, milk tea, which is almost taboo in the traditional Han agricultural society of the East.
Right, because in the East, cows were draft animals. They were for plowing fields, not for milking. Lactose intolerance is famously high.
Exactly. But in the West, among the nomadic and semi-nomadic Turkic and Mongol peoples, dairy was a staple. So you have this huge culinary tripod: the wheat north, the rice south, and the spiced lamb and dairy-rich west.
Speaking of spice, this is the perfect segue. Because I think for a huge portion of our listeners, when they think of real Chinese food, they mean one thing.
Heat.
Heat. It means Sichuan. It means that bright red chili oil. It means sweating through your shirt and feeling your lips buzz.
The famous burn. The mala.
Yes. But there was a fact in the research for this that just, it absolutely floored me. It feels like a glitch in the simulation. You were telling me that the chili pepper is not Chinese.
It is not. Not even a little bit. This is the Columbian exchange shock.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because I honestly cannot imagine Sichuan food without chilies. It's like imagining Italian food without tomatoes.
It is exactly like that. And for the same reason, both the tomato and the chili pepper are native to the Americas. They did not exist in Europe, Asia, or Africa until after Columbus in the late 15th century.
So if I took a time machine back to the Ming Dynasty, say the year 1450, and I went to the finest restaurant in Chengdu, the capital of Sichuan,
you would find zero chilies.
none.
None. No red oil, no spicy hot pot as we know it today, no mapo tofu, no kung pao chicken with dried chilies. It didn't exist.
That is wild. What do they use for flavor?
They used other pungent ingredients: ginger, garlic, shallots, and the Sichuan peppercorn, which we'll get to. But that fiery heat, that raw flavor, was completely absent. The chili pepper arrived in China through trade routes, probably via Portuguese traders, in the late 16th or early 17th century. And initially, the Chinese didn't even eat them.
What do they do with them?
They were used as ornamental plants. They called them barbarian peppers. They were just pretty red decorations for the garden.
So how did we go from pretty garden plant to we're going to put this in absolutely everything? How does that revolution happen?
It goes back to geography and, believe it or not, medicine. Specifically, traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM.
Okay.
We have to talk about the concept of dampness.
Right. I saw this in the notes.
The southwest of China, Sichuan, Hunan, Guizhou, is geographically a basin. It's surrounded by mountains. It's incredibly humid, misty, and damp all year round. In TCM, this external environmental dampness is considered a pathogen. It seeps into your body.
What does dampness do to you in this way?
It makes you feel sluggish, heavy.
Yeah.
It causes rheumatism and joint pain. It disturbs your qi, your vital energy.
And you need to drive it out.
You need to drive it out with yang energy,
Right.
with internal heat. Before chilies, the locals used huge amounts of ginger, garlic, and even dog meat, which is considered very heating, to induce sweating and expel the damp.
But then the chili pepper shows up
And it was a revelation. It was a super weapon against the damp.
because it makes you sweat.
Yeah. It makes you sweat more efficiently than anything else. It's also cheap to grow. It grows easily in that climate. So the peasants and laborers of the Southwest adopted it not just for flavor, but for survival. It was medicinal cuisine.
So the thinking was, I'm not just eating this spicy tofu because it's tasty. I'm eating it so my joints don't ache in this miserable weather.
Essentially, yes, the flavor was a bonus. But here is where we need to add some really important nuance. Westerners tend to lump all spicy Chinese food into one big fiery bucket.
Guilty.
But there is a massive and very proud rivalry between the two capitals of spice, Sichuan and Hunan.
Okay, let's break down the fight. In this quarter, Sichuan.
Sichuan cuisine is famous for a very specific flavor profile called mala.
Mala. I know la means spicy hot. What is ma?
Ma is the defining unique characteristic of Sichuan food. It means numbing, and it comes from the Sichuan peppercorn.
Which I learned isn't actually a pepper at all.
No, it's not related to black pepper or chili pepper. It's the dried berry of the prickly ash tree. And chemically, it's just fascinating. It contains a molecule called hydroxy-alpha-sansul.
Hydroxyalpha-sanso. Okay, sounds like a cleaning product.
It kind of does, but what it does is it acts on the nerve endings in your mouth and tongue, specifically the tactile receptors for touch, and it causes them to vibrate at a frequency of roughly 50 hertz.
Wait, you're kidding. It literally vibrates your nerves.
It creates this sensation of vibration. It's a neurological trick. That's why when you eat high-quality Sichuan peppercorns, your tongue and lips feel tingly, buzzing, almost like you licked a 9-volt battery.
So Sichuan food is this kind of chemical warfare of numbing and burning happening at the exact same time.
It's an orchestra. It's not just one note. The chili oil carries the fiery heat, the peppercorn provides the numbing, vibrating buzz, and then you have fermented broad bean paste for salty depth, garlic, ginger. It's complex. Think of a dish like mapo tofu. It's not just hot, it's aromatic, it's savory, it's confusing to the palate in the most beautiful way.
Okay, so that's the complex, numbing, vibrating symphony of Sichuan. What is Hunan?
Hunan cuisine, or Zhang cuisine, is the land of what they call dry heat or fresh heat. They don't care about the numbing peppercorn. They find it distracting.
So no anesthesia.
None. They want the direct punch. Hunanese cooking uses fresh green chilies, pickled red chilies, salted chilies, smoked chilies. The heat is direct. It hits you in the front of the mouth immediately. It's often paired with sourness from pickles or saltiness from cured meats.
So it's a sharper, cleaner heat.
A much sharper heat. If Sichuan is a complex perfume, Hunan is a slap in the face. It's bold.
The notes mention that Mao Zedong was from Hunan.
He was, and he had a famous quote about it. He said, "You cannot be a revolutionary if you do not eat chilies."
Wow.
And it kind of reflects the character of the region and the food. It's bold, unpretentious, and aggressive.
So if Sichuan is the sophisticated, layered symphony, Hunan is the 3-chord punk rock song.
That is a perfect way to describe it. Absolutely perfect.
All right, we've frozen in the north, we've sweated through our shirts in the southwest. Now I want to move to the part of the map that I think is the most misunderstood, because it's often dismissed as bland by people who are just chasing that chili high.
The coast.
The east. The lands of fish and rice, as you put it. We often hear about the 8 great cuisines of China. We've covered Sichuan, but let's shine a light on some of the others, because this is where the real sophistication lives, isn't it?
This is the heart of refinement.
Let's start with the one everyone thinks they know, Cantonese.
Cantonese, or Yu cuisine, from Guangdong province in the south. This is the global face of Chinese food, mainly because the first waves of immigrants were from this region. But true, high-end Cantonese food is the polar opposite of the heavy, gloopy sauces you get in a mall food court.
The philosophy here is purity, right?
Absolute purity of the ingredient. Guangdong has a long subtropical coastline. They have access to incredible seafood, fresh poultry, perfect vegetables year-round. So the core thinking is, if I have a fish that was literally swimming in the ocean this morning, why on earth would I bury its flavor in chili oil or heavy spice?
You'd be ruining it. It's an insult to the fish.
It's an insult to the fish, exactly. So the primary cooking technique becomes steaming. It's a philosophy of subtraction, not addition. A proper Cantonese steamed fish uses just a tiny bit of ginger and scallion to counter any fishiness, a splash of high-quality light soy sauce, and then a final drizzle of smoking hot oil right at the end to release the aromatics.
And the goal is to taste the fish.
The goal is to taste the delicate sweetness of the fish itself, not the sauce.
And this is where dim sum comes from, this same philosophy.
Yes. The whole culture of yumcha, or drinking tea, dim sum is the art of the delicate. Think of a perfect hargao, that crystal shrimp dumpling. The wrapper is made from wheat starch, not flour, so it's translucent. You can literally see the pink shrimp inside. It takes immense technical skill to make something look that simple and taste that clean.
Now, right next door to Guangdong is Fujian province, and the notes say Fujian is the soup capital.
The Fujianese are the absolute masters of umami, especially umami from the sea. They're saying in Fujian, it is unacceptable to not have soup at a meal.
I can get behind that rule. That's a good rule.
It's a great rule, but these aren't just quick broths. Fujian cuisine, or Min cuisine, is all about building layers of savory depth. They use dried ingredients, dried scallops, dried shrimp, sea cucumber, dried oysters, to create these incredibly complex savory broths that form the foundation of the meal.
So it's a deeper, more oceanic flavor than Cantonese.
Much deeper. It's often got a sweet and sour element too, but the defining characteristic is that shan flavor, which we translate as umami, but it's really that deep oceanic savoriness.
Okay, so moving up the coast, we hit the Yangtze River Delta. This is Shanghai, Jiangsu, Zhejiang. This feels like the high culture zone of China.
It absolutely is. Historically, this was the wealthiest region of China. It's where the scholars, the poets, the artists, and the retired imperial officials lived. And the food, specifically Huaiyang cuisine from Jiangsu, reflects that refinement and intellectualism.
This is where we see the insane knife skills.
The knife skills are legendary. They're a form of artistic expression. There's a famous dish from Jiangsu called wenzi tofu. A chef takes a block of soft, silken tofu, which is like trying to cut water.
I can barely get it out of the package without it falling apart.
Exactly. And the chef slices it by hand into thousands of hair-thin strands. When they place this block of sliced tofu into a clear broth, it fans out and looks like a chrysanthemum flower blooming in the bowl.
That's just showing off.
It is 100% showing off. It is edible art, and it tells you that the cuisine values texture and elegance above all else. The flavor profile here leans sweet. They use rock sugar and dark soy sauce to create red-braised dishes like red-braised pork belly, which is cooked for hours until it's a deep mahogany color and wobbles like jelly.
And then we have to mention the North's powerhouse, which isn't Beijing cuisine, surprisingly. It's Shandong.
Shandong is the sort of French cuisine of China, in a way.
How so?
It's the foundational classical cuisine of the North. For centuries, Shandong chefs were the ones who staffed the imperial kitchens in the Forbidden City in Beijing.
So they literally wrote the rulebook.
They established the techniques, they perfected the use of stocks, the methods for braising, for quick frying. They set the standard for what a formal banquet should look like. It's a salty, savory cuisine. It uses high-quality vinegar, and it treats seafood with a heartiness that's very different from the delicate South. Think braised sea cucumber or deep-fried carp.
And one more that I thought was fascinating, just to show the diversity. Anhui. This one is landlocked, right? In the mountains.
Yes, Anhui cuisine is the cuisine of the Yellow Mountains. It's not about the sea or the great rivers. It's about the forest. It's about foraging.
So what are they eating?
Wild herbs, bamboo shoots, stone frog, mushrooms, game meat like civet cat or pheasant. The techniques are rustic lots of slow braising in clay pots. It's an earthy, hearty, deeply flavorful cuisine that tastes of the mountain itself.
It really just paints a picture of how diverse it is. You have the ocean purity of Canton, the scholar's precision of Jiangsu, and the mountainy foraging of Anhui. It's an entire continent of options.
And that diversity leads us to the next layer, because we've talked a lot about flavor. But if you really want to eat like a true Chinese gourmand, you have to stop obsessing over taste and start obsessing over texture.
This is the biggest barrier for Westerners, isn't it? I feel like this is where a lot of people get thrown.
It absolutely is. In the West, we have a very limited and mostly negative vocabulary for texture. We have crispy, tender, creamy. Those are good.
And then mushy, which is bad.
Mushy is bad, slimy is bad, rubbery is very bad.
Right.
But in China, texture, or Kugan, mouthfeel, is actively engineered. It is a source of pleasure that is completely independent of taste. It's a valued quality in and of itself.
Okay, so let's talk about the concept of Q, just the letter Q.
Q, or sometimes QQ. It doesn't even have a Chinese character. It's just the letter borrowed from Taiwanese slang. It describes a texture that is bouncy, springy, rubbery, and chewy, but in a highly prized way.
Like a gummy bear. Is that Q?
A gummy bear is getting there, but it's a bit firmer. Think of the tapioca pearls in bubble tea. That's the classic example of Q. Or a really high-quality handmade fishball. When you bite down, it should fight back a little bit. There should be a rebound. That springiness is Q.
And in the West, if a fishball bounced, we'd say it's rubbery and overcooked.
But in southern China, if a fishball is soft and flaky, it's considered garbage. They literally beat the fish paste against the side of a bowl for hours to align the protein structure specifically to create that bounce. It's intentional.
It's active eating. You have to engage with the food. It's not just passive.
Right. And then there's the other side of the coin, the slippery or mucilaginous texture.
The slime zone, as I call it.
Yes, the slime zone. Things like okra, mountain yam, wood ear mushrooms, and the ultimate status symbol of slime, sea cucumber.
Sea cucumber is basically a flavorless tube of jelly, right? I've heard it's incredibly expensive.
Incredibly. It is a flavorless, expensive tube of cartilage and gelatin. You pay hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars for it, purely for the texture. That slippery coating sensation in the mouth is considered luxurious and healthful.
It really forces you to pay attention to the mechanics of eating, not just the flavor hitting your tongue.
And that same level of mindfulness, that attention, extends to the philosophy of the entire meal, the idea of balance.
The yin and the yang on a plate.
Exactly. This is where food becomes medicine. In the Chinese worldview, the universe is governed by the interplay of these two opposing but complementary forces, yin and yang. And so is your body.
So your body needs to be in balance.
Your body needs to be in balance, and food is one of the primary tools you use to regulate that energy and maintain health.
So foods are categorized as either yin or yang.
Yes. Broadly, yin is cooling, calming, and moisturizing. Yang is warming, energizing, and drying. And this is critical. This has nothing to do with the physical temperature of the food.
Okay, give me an example.
A piping hot cup of green tea is considered a yin, or a cooling food. An ice-cold beer might also be considered yin, but a plate of grilled lamb with cumin, even if it's served at room temperature, that is high yang. It's very warming.
So if I have a fever, which is an excess of heat or yang in the body, I shouldn't eat the lamb.
Absolutely not. That would be like throwing gasoline on a fire.
Yeah.
You need to cool the body down with yin foods, things like cucumber, tofu, watermelon, pear, or mung bean soup.
And conversely, if it's the middle of winter and I'm feeling cold and lethargic, that's when I need the yang foods.
That's when you need the lamb, the ginger, the chili, the cinnamon to stoke your internal fire. But you also balance the entire table, right? You would never serve 5 yang dishes together. That would be chaotic and unhealthy.
Right, so if you have a spicy hot pot, which is extremely yang,
You simply must pair it with cooling elements. You'll have a slightly sweet and sour plum drink. You'll drink chrysanthemum tea. You'll have plates of cooling vegetables like lettuce and tofu to dip in the broth. You are constantly tuning the instrument of your body with every bite.
I love that idea that the menu is a prescription for balance. Well, let's talk about the social architecture of the table, because the furniture itself, the shape of the table, tells a story.
The round table versus the square table, this is huge,
In the West, we traditionally have the long rectangular table.
which is inherently hierarchical. There is a head of the table. The host or the patriarch sits there. The most important guest sits to their right. The power dynamic is literally built into the wood.
And the food reflects that. It's plated individually.
Yeah.
This is my steak, this is my portion, keep your fork away.
You have to ask someone to pass the salt.
Right.
In China, the ideal table is round. Everyone is equidistant from the center. There is no head. It's egalitarian. And the food is communal. It's placed in the middle. This is our food.
And the lazy Susan is the great equalizer.
The lazy Susan is a brilliant tool of democracy. It allows everyone equal access to all the dishes without having to ask for favors or reach over people. But it also creates a dynamic of sharing and consideration.
And there are a lot of rules to this sharing, aren't there?
Huge rules. The host has a very active job. In the West, the host's job is mostly done before you sit down. But in China, the host is constantly monitoring the table.
Using the serving chopsticks?
Yes, the gongquai. The host will use these communal chopsticks to pick the choicest piece of meat, or the best part of the fish, the cheek, and place it directly into the guest of honor's bowl.
It's an act of care, of intimacy.
It says, I am providing for you. I am caring for you. And as a guest, you cannot refuse that, even if you are completely full. To refuse the food is to reject the care and the relationship.
Which leads to the empty plate trap that I think every Western traveler has fallen into at some point.
It's the classic
Don't do it.
mistake, because we are taught from childhood, clean your plate, it shows you liked the food, and you're not wasteful.
Exactly. My mom's voice is in my head, don't waste food.
In a formal Chinese dining context, if you clean your plate completely, you are, without meaning to, insulting the host.
How? How is that an insult?
Because it signals that they failed. They failed to provide enough food for you. It implies that you are still hungry. The host will immediately panic and start ordering more and more dishes until you can't possibly finish.
So you have to leave a little bit behind on your plate.
You must leave a surplus. This is tied into the concept of you. The word for surplus in Mandarin sounds exactly like the word for fish.
Which is why you always have a whole fish at a Chinese New Year's dinner.
Exactly. The blessing is Nian Nian Yu Yu. May you have surplus and fish every year. Leaving that last dumpling on the plate isn't waste, it's a compliment. It's a nonverbal way of saying, your generosity exceeded my capacity. Thank you.
That is a beautiful and complete shift in perspective.
It's a whole symbolic language that's being spoken through food and etiquette.
Okay, so we've covered the ancient roots, the geography, the philosophy. Now I want to bring this deep dive home, literally, to the neighborhoods where many of our listeners live. We need to talk about the diaspora.
The takeout box, revisited.
Yes. There is this persistent narrative, I hear it all the time from self-proclaimed foodies, that dishes like General Tso's chicken or chop suey or ginger beef are fake Chinese food,
Yeah.
that they're inauthentic, Americanized trash.
And that narrative is not only factually wrong, it is dismissive of a profound story of immigration, struggle, and resilience.
So let's set the record straight. Let's validate the takeout menu for me and for everyone listening.
Okay, we have to look at the history. The first major wave of Chinese migration to North America happened in the mid-19th century. You had the gold rush in California, the building of the Transcontinental Railroad.
And these were mostly men, mostly from one specific region, Toisan,
Yeah.
in Guangdong province.
Correct. They arrive in California or British Columbia. They face brutal, systemic, legalized racism, the Chinese Exclusion Act in the U.S., the head tax in Canada. They are barred from owning land, from working in most industries, so they retreat into the few avenues of self-employment open to them, laundries and restaurants.
But they don't have their ingredients from home.
Imagine being a Cantonese chef in 1860s San Francisco. You don't have fresh bok choy. You don't have light soy sauce or oyster sauce. You don't have Sichuan peppercorn.
You have beef, you
Yeah.
have broccoli, which doesn't really exist in China. You have onions, carrots, and a lot of sugar.
So what do? You adapt to survive. You take your core techniques, the high-heat stir-frying of the wok, the principle of velveting meat with cornstarch to make it tender, and you apply them to the ingredients you have, tailored to the palate of the customers you need to feed to make a living.
And the American palate loves sweet and loves fried.
Loves sweet, loves fried, loves big portions of meat. So a dish like General Tso's chicken isn't a mistake or a corruption. It is an invention. It was created by Hunanese chefs who fled to Taiwan, and then it was adapted in New York in the 1970s to be sweeter and crunchier for an American audience. It is a distinct and legitimate branch of the Chinese culinary tree.
It is its own cuisine, American Chinese cuisine.
Yes. Just like ginger beef is its own cuisine. Canadian Chinese cuisine. Do you know the story of ginger beef?
I know it's from Calgary. That's
Yeah.
about it.
It was invented in the 1970s at a restaurant called the Silver Inn in Calgary. It gets to Nuggenar 40 degrees in Calgary in the winter. People wanted hearty, high-energy fried food. So the chef, George Wong, took strips of tough Alberta beef, deep-fried them until they were super crunchy like candy, and then tossed them in a spicy sweet chili sauce. It has nothing to do with traditional Beijing food, but it is a legitimate part of the culinary heritage of the Canadian prairies.
It's survival. It's innovation on the fly.
And this process happens everywhere Chinese people have migrated. In Peru, you have a beloved fusion cuisine called Chifa Chinese cooking, mixed with Andean ingredients like potatoes, tomatoes, and avocado. In India, you have an entire genre of Indian Chinese food, with dishes like gobi Manchurian cauliflower fried in a soy garlic chili sauce.
So the verdict is the takeout box is not only valid, it's important.
It is a testament to the incredible adaptability of the culture. It represents a people maintaining their identity while surviving and thriving in a new world. We shouldn't look down on it. We should respect the history it represents.
I think that makes the humble egg roll taste a little bit better, knowing that story.
It definitely adds some historical flavor.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we've traveled from the millet fields of the Neolithic North to the chili-soaked basins of the Southwest, through the refined banquet halls of the Emperor's Court, and finally to a takeout counter in Calgary.
It is a massive, massive journey.
If the listener takes one thing away from this hour, what should it be? How should they look at that menu differently tonight when they're ordering?
I think we need to stop looking for this idea of authenticity as some kind of rigid, unchanging set of rules from the past. Instead, we should look for the system. Chinese cuisine is, at its core, structured like the Confucian rituals of the dining table. It is balanced like the Taoist concept of yin and yang, and it is relentlessly adaptive, willing to absorb new things like the chili pepper from America or the broccoli from Italy and make them its own in order to survive.
It's not a museum piece locked behind glass.
Yeah.
It's a living, breathing civilization on a plate.
Exactly, and it's still evolving as we speak. Right now, there are chefs in Shanghai using molecular gastronomy to deconstruct traditional dishes. There are kids in New York and LA mixing Sichuan peppercorns with cheeseburgers and fried chicken. The story is still being written.
And here's a final provocative thought to leave you with to chew on. We started this whole conversation by saying geography is destiny. How the amount of rain made the South a land of rice eaters and the dry climate made the North a land of noodle eaters.
Yes, the fundamental split.
Just imagine, if the monsoon patterns in East Asia had shifted just slightly 5,000 years ago, if for some climatological reason the rains had pushed north and the south had become arid.
The entire culinary map would flip on its head. The north would be the rice basket. The south might be the great wheat fields.
Confucius might have written his philosophy based on the communal planting cycles of rice instead of millet. The emperor's banquets in Beijing might have been filled with delicate steamed dishes. The hearty dumplings we love so much might have never even been invented.
The entire cultural DNA of one of the world's oldest civilizations, and by extension, what millions of us eat for dinner on a Friday night, is literally downstream of the weather patterns of the last 10 millennia.
We are, in a very real sense, eating the climate data.
That is a humbling thought to chew on.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. Next time you see that Lazy Susan spin, remember, it's not just a tray, it's a worldview. We'll catch you in the next one.